evaluations, and we have an evaluation team. So good evening, everyone. We're happy you're here. We're about to get started, and we're gonna start with the quote master. So Tanya, could you please, is Tanya here?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
I'm here.
great. Could you please read your quote?
Yeah. Let's see.
Can you introduce yourself, Tanya? I don't think we had seen you.
Hi, my name is Tanya Lewis, and I'm from Brooklyn. And my first quote for the day is, learning how to live in a broken body is a never-ending journey.
That's for sure.
So I thank you, body, for what you give me in spite of the constant battle. So I'm a person that always look for optimism, and I stay optimistic, and I do the best I can, and I try to encourage people not to give up. Giving up is not an option. So we keep fighting and fighting until you can't, and God will help you with the rest of the way. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Tanya. We appreciate that.
Yes.
And now we'll go back to our general evaluator. Sarah?
Thank you, Lisa. Again, good evening. Welcome everyone to our meeting. And we have three amazing speakers lined up, but to evaluate, I actually have a team to help me with that. So first up, we have Donna, who's going to be the timer. She went over a little bit, but if you can explain your role and the timing.
I was recruited an hour ago, so I'm doing my best. As timer, I will time the table topics, speakers, formal speeches, and the evaluations. I will also alert each speaker of the time they have left using the green, yellow, and red cards, which denote time remaining. Table topics should limit their remarks to no more than 2 minutes. Icebreaker speeches should be 4 to 6 minutes. Other speeches should be 5 to 7 minutes, and individual evaluations will be between 2 and 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna, for volunteering, and you'll do great. It's a great role. It's actually one of my favorite roles. Next up, we have the odd counter grammarian, which if anybody wants to fill in, otherwise I'll take that. I know Dexter is going to do the word of the day, which is the word of the day is goal. So if you use that in your speech or table topic or evaluation, he will mark you down for that. But I will kind of fill in as odd counter. So if I won't mark down any grammatical, word, like if you use I'm not gonna catch everything because I'm doing multiple roles, but I will try my best to do that as odd counter. As part of Toastmasters, it's not just about speaking, it's also about listening for those words that we all use. I use those words a lot, and Toastmasters has really helped me with that. When I listen to the recording back, sometimes I'm horrified to think, oh my God, I had that many ums and ahs, but it really makes you improve your speaking skills, because you want to get your message across, whether you're an advocate, a recipient, a pre-recipient, a donor. You want to make sure you're getting or caregiver. You want to make sure you're getting your message across to those that you need to. So I will be listening for that. And also as general evaluator, I already said, I actually have my evaluators, my speech evaluators that will be evaluating the speech. So we have 3 speakers. We have George, which will be evaluated by Eileen. Hold on, Eileen. And speaker 2, we don't have an evaluator, but I could fill in for that. Laxmi is going to do her speech. And our 3rd speaker, which will be Bobbie, Tanya Bailey is going to do that evaluation. So before they come up, Lisa, if you can have them introduce their objectives. And at the end of the meeting, I will go over our reports.
Are you passing it back to me?
Yeah, back to you, Lisa.
Okay. So our first speaker tonight will be George. And who's evaluating George?
Eileen.
Hi, Eileen, thank you. Can you please read the objective of George's speech?
Yes, thank you, Lisa. George is in the effective coaching pathway, and he's on level 2. And his speech tonight is the project he's working on is understanding your communication style. The purpose of this project is for the member to learn about different communication styles and identify with his or her primary style. The purpose of the speech is for the member to share the impact of his or her style on others. Tonight, George's speech title is Support, Help for Family and Friends. Tonight, I introduce to you George Thompson, Support, Help for Family and Friends.
So I'm going to
Take it
read
away,
his
George.
introduction. George has been a Toastmaster for about 2 years on his quest for Presentation Mastery 2, Level 2 status. He presents a topic that is not always addressed to family and friends of kidney patients: how to best support the person in need of a kidney. There are emotions and fears that need to be addressed for both the patient and his family or her family. Here are some tips for providing that support and understanding. So let's welcome George on his speech, Support, Help for Family and Friends. George Thompson, Support.
Okay. Thank you very much,
family.
Toastmaster. Give her a start here. While you might not be able to donate a kidney, there are plenty of ways in which you can provide support for your loved one before and after a transplant. Here are a few ways that you can help. Your communication style and goals need to be supportive. First, learn about kidney transplant aftercare. Normally, the body's immune system fights off anything that isn't part of itself, like germs and viruses. A kidney rejection is a normal response after a transplant surgery, which is why anti-rejection medicine is so important. Should your loved one experience rejection, they may need additional support. Remind them that the rejection isn't their fault and encourage them to speak with a mental health professional, kidney transplant team, or support primary care doctor if they experience depression. Now, be specific too. Don't leave them guessing about what your abilities or availability is. Here are a few ways that you can offer help. Transplant recipients have a lot of checkups within the first year to ensure that the kidney is working well. Offering to drive them to these appointments, especially during the first few weeks, can be extremely helpful. Now, staying in a healthy weight is also important for people with transplants. So offer to become a walking or workout buddy. Help around the house, do garden work, or bring over transplant-friendly foods during the first few months after the transplant. If they are experiencing adverse side effects from medications or are under the weather. If they are having a hard time sticking to a medication schedule, ask if you can help set up a system that works. Maybe you text them, help coordinate, or create a calendar and set up a cell phone alert. Now watch your health. Kidney transplant recipients generally have poor immune systems due to their anti-rejection medication. If you aren't feeling well, or you have contact with someone that is sick, wait until you're not contagious to visit. You don't want to infect them. Remember that mental health matters. Now, this is also before the transplant, where they are really going to need your support. And receiving a kidney is a wonderful and life-changing, but it can also be stressful. For example, someone could be thankful for their donor and excited for a new life, but worry about losing the donated kidney to rejection. Programs like NKF's Peer and NKF Kidney Communities offer a safe space for kidney transplant recipients to talk about their feelings. and receive guidance from people who have been in their shoes. Now, NKF Peers, the program offers people with kidney transplants a safe space to connect with trained mentors via telephone or in-app chat. Sometimes people speaking in a similar situation provide valuable insight and allow people to feel part of a community. Above all, you be there to listen for their feelings and knowing that you care. Now, a kidney dietitian, most people with a kidney transplant have few dietary restrictions, but it is important to eat a healthy diet, low in fat and salt, and drink plenty of fluids. These are also health problems like diabetes, high blood pressure, or heart disease, which may mean additional restrictions. A kidney dietitian can put a diet together to fit those needs. And then finally, become a voice for kidney health advocates. You can join a network of advocates to make a difference for kidney patients and influence public policy regarding kidney health, organ donation, and transplantation through simple activities like emailing, calling, or tweeting your legislators. These campaigns require the participation of dedicated volunteers who want to share their stories to make change happen in government and across the nation. This has been very important in New York, since new legislation has allowed for kidney donors to receive much needed funding and help along their way of giving a donation. Now, after taking the Toastmaster Communication Style Questionnaire, I discovered that my style is supportive also. This style is calm, steady, approachable, sincere, and gentle. And that's what you need to be with your friends that need a kidney. Be very sincere and gentle, and just let them know that you're there for them. And with that, I'd like to turn it back to our Toastmaster. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was very well done. We really appreciate it. You know, as you were doing that, I was considering all of our new guests for tonight. And part of why we're all here is to learn to do speeches like that, to advocate for the needs of kidney patients and kidney donors and the kidney community. So George has worked very hard in learning to do that. So thank you. I appreciate it. So our next speech is by Laxmi, Vallury, and it will be evaluated by Mark Scotch. Mark, do you have the goals for this speech? You're muted, Mark. There you go.
Sure do.
Great.
Sure
Thank you
do.
so much.
Give me 1 minute. I'm sharing my screen.
Great. Thank you, Laxmi.
Thank you.
Lisa, are these icebreaker speeches
This
or other speeches?
There's no icebreaker speeches tonight. No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's see. Let me
Okay.
put up the screen.
Oops. David Christman is in the house.
Good evening.
Wait 1 second. Did somebody let him in?
I did.
Okay, thank you. Mark, can you please read the goals for Laxmi?
Yes, the goal is, the purpose of this project is for Laxmi to deliver speech with awareness of intentional and unintentional body language, as well as to learn, practice, and refine how she can use nonverbal communication when delivering a speech.
Thank you, Mark. So Laxmi is currently the president of PMI Westchester. Their next meeting will be Tuesday night, and the vice president of education and career development at PMI Westchester. A lot of us take several roles because it's often very hard to get people to step up into officer positions. Her and her husband and my 2 cats and their 2 cats live in North Carolina and love traveling to historical places. She joined Kidney Stories Toastmasters because she was inspired by the people in our group and she hopes to be of assistance in helping more kidney people in the kidney community. So Laxmi, CKD, community differences and the role of a kidney coach. CKD, community differences and the role of a kidney coach. Welcome, Laxmi.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I did my research on chronic kidney disease, and I wanted to cover some statistics. Right now, kidney disease is growing at an alarming rate, and in America alone, more than 1 out of 7 or 15% of Americans have kidney disease. That's 37 million. And the breakdown is over here in terms of the number of people that are on kidney failure, dialysis, or kidney transplant. Some communities at a higher risk than others. And globally, it is predicted that by 2040, kidney disease will be the 5th highest cause of deaths across the globe. And one scary fact is that 9 out of 10 people with kidney disease are not aware that they have it. And so it could quickly progress to end-stage kidney disease without proper medication, management, education, and awareness. When I was doing my research, I initially started looking at India because in India, diabetes is pretty high, and both diabetes and hypertension are 2 of the largest contributors. But what I noticed is many of the themes in India also echo over here. The degree might be different, but kidney disease affects different communities differently, and the access to proper care varies based on where you're at. So health disparities in the US, for example, the differences occur both in the outcome as well as the healthcare among groups, and it could be related to any number of factors, including but not limited to race, gender, socioeconomic status, age, ethnicity. Here are some facts. Kidney failure or end-stage renal disease disproportionately impacts certain populations. When we compare with whites, African Americans are 3.4 times more likely to develop the disease, Native Americans 1.9 times more likely, and Asian Americans 1.3 times more likely. When we compare Hispanics and non-Hispanics, Hispanics are 1.5 times more likely to develop the disease, and it could be a combination of facts, including diet, genetics, any number of things. Sometime in 2021, there was a panelist discussion at a congressional hearing on increasing kidney transplant to communities of color, and several themes have emerged from that. First is that there are disparities in access to donor kidneys, especially live donor kidneys. There are financial barriers. And this is where one of the themes echoed for me when I was researching India, where in India, they don't even pay. The government doesn't really pay for a lot of these transplants. And so many people have to rely on their own resources. And over here, financial barriers exist as well. Access barriers, such that they are aware that they can be listed at multiple transplant centers. And unfortunately, in many of the communities where they are at higher risk, they're also likely to have a greater distrust of the medical establishment and myths around organ donation. And last but not least, there are inherent biases on who they might consider as a good candidate for donors, and just barriers to listening and understanding the concerns of people who go to doctors. In 2022, this year, AKF made it a priority on several policy fronts to address some of these disparities. And the 4 fronts on which they want to touch upon is SDOH, or the social determinants of health, which is we have to get to the core, which is the social, economic, and environmental conditions that impact health and well-being. It could be income level, education, job opportunities, access to housing. And once more, I'm tying it back to India because globally there are some similar themes. For instance, in India, women and men are perceived very differently. And in many rural areas, women don't have the financial independence, or they've been taught that the male is more, predominant and should be the one to survive, or they might have a sacrificial mode among them. So when I look at even the United States, it is important to look at specifically within the communities what holds back. equitable access to not only affordable healthcare, but good quality healthcare across all of the social, racial, ethnic, and socioeconomic populations, and to create an environment that's equitable, accessible, and inclusive. Kidney Coach. The Kidney Coach, I did not see a lot of articles on specifically what the kidney coaches are doing in various communities, but it is a very interesting program hosted by the American Kidney Fund. It is a community health program that has a global reach. It launched in 2018, and they have kidney coaches in countries such as India, parts of Africa, Latin America. This program provides coaches with various tools, including a startup guide, online training program, and a Facebook community. And when we look at the goals, we can see how kidney coaches can continue to raise awareness in the community. First, the kidney coach helps communities prevent the onset of CKD, or once people already have kidney failure, perhaps slow down the progression and raise the awareness level. And the second part, which is also important, is to have a greater outreach across the United States. Because when we use kidney coaches, hopefully there are people within the community that are also likely to engender more trust and make it more approachable for people. Now, who can join and how can they help? Now, anyone can become a kidney coach. I recently completed my course. So I'm brand new to this journey and I want to be more involved. You can be a healthcare professional, you can be someone with kidney disease, or a caregiver supporting someone with kidney disease, or a student. And these are the various ways in which they help, and we touched upon that. And the core part of it, which I want to emphasize again, is spreading awareness, facilitating changes, and becoming part of the community. How can you become a kidney coach? You can take the course over here. You can check out the American Kidney Fund website, and the link is listed over there. It's 45 minutes. You learn about various aspects of preventing or slowing down the progression of kidney disease. Once you pass, you get access to a portal, a Facebook group, and several resources to begin your presentations to raise awareness in the community. You can schedule a session in your community and then you log sessions in the portal. I attended a couple of sessions and many of the kidney coaches have come up with really creative solutions to engage and help people in the area to raise greater awareness and connect them to resources. And for references for this one, there are several references within the course as well, but these are the main references for those who are interested in learning more about the Kidney Coach program, or generally what AKF is doing. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Thank you, everyone. And back to you.
That was awesome, Laxmi. So much information. I think that's really, really great. And I'm looking forward to becoming a kidney coach with AKF. So thank you.
Thank you.
That was great. And we have one more speaker, and Bobbie Reed came to us serendipitously, and I'm sure I didn't say that word right. So I'm delighted that we've connected with Bobbie Reed, a wealth of information. Her speech title is A Kidney for Alex, and it will be evaluated by Tanya. So Tanya, could you please read the goals of this keynote speech?
Lisa, I don't have the goals.
Okay. Sarah, do you want to make something up?
This is actually Bobbie's first speech. Let me just bring up so this is actually really her introductory speech. The purpose of the project is for a member to introduce themselves to the club and learn more the basic structure of a public speech. So this is Bobbie's not her first speech. She's done many speeches, but it's her first speech in this club. So that's her basic icebreaker.
Thank you, Sarah. So welcome, Bobbie Reed. Bobbie's son, Alex, is in need of a living kidney donor, and Bobbie is here to tell us about the process of getting the first kidney and the second kidney and her work as an advocate. So welcome, Bobbie Reed.
Thank you. Thank you very much. My name is Bobbie Reed, and I have a slide deck here that Sarah's going to put up for us in a minute, and we'll go through that. It's actually a presentation that I did for the American Association of Kidney Patients at their national patient meeting a few years pre-COVID. And what it addressed was I was a caregiver, or I am a caregiver, and I'm a patient advocate. My son, Alex Reed, George Alexander Reed, had kidney failure, and he needed to get a kidney, and there's a lot of interesting stuff to go with that we're going to go over today. My background is I've been educated at the Indiana University of Pennsylvania, and my major there was family consumer science, sort of like a Ralph Nader type of person, if anybody's familiar with who Ralph Nader was, in terms of resolving consumer complaints and helping people to know where to go and what to do when they had a problem that they needed resolved regarding consumerism and products. In addition to that, following my graduation, I worked for AT&T over 20 years. And my primary job there was in sales and marketing of communications equipment. So I've had a lot of background and training in terms of communication. And from there, that big, large company, I migrated into my husband's insurance agency. He has his own insurance agency. It's a family-run operation. I am a fully licensed insurance agent in the state of Pennsylvania for life, accident, health, home, automobile, and business insurance. And I assist them in managing the office and marketing and so forth. You'll see on this first screen here that this is how you get in touch with me. I am, that's my email address. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And on LinkedIn, you will find a great background of a resume of all the activities, both advocacy and things that I've done to help my son. So I suggest that, if you get done with this, you want to take a peek to find out more in depth of what I'm all about and the experiences that I have had. I welcome you to do that. If you have questions, I welcome you to get back in touch with me. Okay, next slide. Okay, in the beginning, life was simple. You can see here that this is my son, Alex Reed, and this picture was taken when he was a student at Penn State University. While there, he was a student athlete playing baseball. You can see a picture on the bottom corner there. Even in high school, he was a star baseball player. And you can see his graduation sign there, and also a picture sign of our insurance agency. It's actually named after him. His grandfather was it was the owner or the originator of this family agency. And the intent was for him to graduate from college and come in and take the role of what his father had and start taking over and running the business to continue on the family legacy. Well, 2 weeks after graduation, he developed very, very high blood pressure. That was in May of 2013. And he was actually hospitalized for over 10 days in intensive care. They didn't think that he was going to live. But somehow he made it through that. They did testing, and at the time we were discharged home, and they said, your kidney function has been impaired and touched a little bit there, but we're going to follow you over the summer moving forward here. And since you're an athlete and very healthy otherwise, we think that that'll just reverse itself and you'll just be bouncing back to brand new. Well, that didn't happen. And his kidneys failed him by October 10th of that same year, that short space of time. And it was really unexplained because nobody in our family has high blood pressure issues, number one. And number two, he had to go through clearances. When you play college baseball or college sports, you have to be cleared through the NCAA health-wise, and nothing surfaced. It was just completely unknown what happened with that. And and then by December 1st of that year, he crashed into dialysis. We were in an emergency room, and they had to do emergency dialysis, even though on October 10th and after that, he went and had a fistula put in his arm because we were intending to do home hemodialysis. We had a very good kidney educator, and but that fistula wasn't developed enough, and so they had to do another port access, and we actually were trained on the home hemo that way and did our dialysis at home. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so there we are at Homes. 2 years, 4 days a week, getting on the wait list, why would cause this, navigating the system in terms of like benefits and searching for a donor. We had to learn about Medicare and, you know, sign up to be on Medicare because he was an end stage renal. And it just was a very, very challenging time. And for this reason, I like to tell people that, you know, you can't navigate this or do this alone. You really need 2 people. Like a support person. I was Alex's support person, and his job was to be sick and do whatever he possibly could to try to get himself to feel better. And like I said, we did our dialysis at home. In terms of like navigating the system, I have some tips for you there, in that we had a very, very good social worker within our center. And we had to go into center 1 day a month to, you know, for a checkup, meet with the doctors, and the social worker would come around, and we had access to her by way of the phone as well. So that when we ran into a roadblock, I would be on the phone to her and she gave me great guidance. For example, I want to give you a tip here. We found out that being that we were on Medicare, that we had access to a federally funded program through the Area Office on Aging. The main name of it is called SHIP, like the boat, SHIP. And what they do is they provide counseling and guidance for like insurance, benefits, coverage, anything having to do with it, like Medicare, on how to find your way. It's, you know, free of charge. You can call them up, set up an appointment, and go by it. But that program is run on an individual state level, and a lot of states go by different names. For example, anybody in Florida, the program's known as SHINE, SHINE. In Pennsylvania, it's called Pennsylvania Medi, PAMEDI. It's medical insurance information or whatever. But you can contact that office, their offices. I would go to the Area Office of Aging or do a search online under SHIP, SHIP, to find out what it's called in your area, and to maybe do a consult with them, because all their information and feedback and help and guidance is free. So I would strongly suggest doing that. In terms of searching for a donor, I had a background, as I told you a few minutes ago, in working at AT&T and sales and marketing. So when we finally were able to get on to the wait list, and that was quite a challenge because of the fact that they didn't know what caused the problem of Alex to have blood pressure so high. And you know, kidneys don't typically fail in a matter of just a couple months. They suspected that he had some dreaded genetic malfunction or some sort of problem, and they wouldn't let us on the transplant wait list until they ruled out all possibilities. And in doing that, we had to go through genetic testing. And when we went before the board of the transplant center where we were going to be listed, if one person disagreed about, you know, admitting them to the wait list, then we had to start all over again and go back and do it, you know, to resolve their issues. Why the reason I mention this is that the genetic testing that we went through, we had to go through it twice. And it's not like when you see on television, on NCIS and stuff, where they solve everything in 60 minutes. It took 3 months each time to have it resolved. So it took us 6 months to get onto the transplant wait list. And during that time, when you're not listed and you're not active on the system, you can't really have any donors be evaluated to see if they could donate to you or anything along that line. So you're like sitting there in like a holding position waiting to get that answer. And what I did is during that time frame, I wrote up a marketing plan to find my kid a kidney, like to sell somebody on the idea of giving my kid a kidney. And I implemented that marketing plan. And I actually found him a donor through the Penn State University Alumni Association. I would make repeated posts for different places, like affiliations that we had, whether it be our schools, organizations we belong to, unions, chambers of commerce, things like that. And I asked them to help me in finding a kidney donor. And the first place that I actually went to was my husband's high school alumni association. And all they did in that alumni newsletter that they sent out, they said my husband's graduating class had a little picture of Alex in there. And it was like 2 sentences, Mike Reed's son, Alex, needs to find a kidney donor. His kidney's in failure. If you want to try and help him, this is how you get in touch. And it was basically like maybe 2 or 3 sentences, but that's all that it was. And I tell people when I advocate for kidney patients that the best way to do this is, a lot of people have a problem with going out and saying, I need a kidney donor. And it's really hard for them to discuss it. After all, they're sick and not feeling good. And then here they are having to go and, climb the ladder there and do that. And I feel that this organization or this group here is a great avenue to solve that problem, or at least another avenue to open up doors. That's why I'm here tonight. I'm looking for opportunities. In any event, that anytime anybody did anything like that first 2-sentence entry, I would put that back on social media and thank them publicly, along with writing a handwritten letter to them, thanking them for helping in the journey of us to find a kidney. So that the next person that I went to, I would take the print up of what that person did before them and show them and said, this is kind of like what I'm looking for. Do you think that you might be able to help me with something to get the word out? And every place that I went, it got better, because the person doing that had to outdo the person before them. And I'm not lying to you when I say this, but towards the end of my list that I had, I actually had newspapers calling me wanting to do a piece or get the word out for Alex, rather than me having to ask them. So it's kind of a unique way to do this. The way Alex's kidney donor was found, we're continuing on with the story here. This gentleman, who you don't know anything about it, because we all know that it's like top secret, HIPAA rules and everything, that they don't tell you who's being tested or who's being evaluated. But this man, unbeknownst to us, saw these posts, or he saw the publication of the Penn State Alumni Association, and felt that, hey, I can help this kid out. I can do something. He was 57 years old. And what he did is he flew to Pittsburgh from New Jersey, and he was evaluated at our transplant center, the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center. And while there, he went through, it was a match, he was a perfect match for my son, but they said that he could not give Alex a kidney because he was too fat. He had to lose 30 pounds. So he got on a plane and he flew back to New Jersey, and it took him 6 months to lose the 30 pounds that he had to lose. He went on a diet. But all during that 6 months, he kept seeing these posts from Bobbie Reed on Facebook, about this person did that and this person did this, and Alex was still looking for a kidney and he wasn't feeling too good and stuff like that. And later on down the road, after Alex did get his transplant, he said that was his inspiration, and that's what kept him going. So after 6 months, he flew back to Pittsburgh. He got the approval to give Alex his kidney. And what he did is he went back to New Jersey, and he called his son up. His son lived in Virginia at the time, and his son was on the Penn State baseball team, but then didn't play on the team after his freshman year. But he knew Alex, and Alex, I'd kept in touch with him and stuff like that. So he says, son, do you know this Alex kid, remember from baseball? He said, yeah. And he says, well, why don't you invite him to our tailgate party up here at Penn State next week, which was on September 12th, 2015. And he said, you kept in touch with some of them other baseball players too, didn't you? And he said, yeah. And he said, well, I want you to ask them to come along too. And, we'll have a tailgate party. So we worked it around that Alex did his dialysis, that he could get away on that Saturday and drive up there at 7 o'clock in the morning to State College in the middle of a big field, stepped up to the grill where this guy was. And he said, Alex, I'm glad you could make it. Glad to see you, meet you here. What can I get you? And my son said, well, I'll take a breakfast sandwich there. That'd be fine. He said, is that all you want? And he said, yeah, that'll do it. He says, I thought you wanted a kidney. He said, well, my son is like really introverted and very quiet, and it's difficult for him to talk about this. But he said, yeah, I am on dialysis. I need to find a kidney donor. And he says, well, I'll tell you what, Alex, I'm giving you my kidney. Here's the approval from UPMC. When do you want it? And in all honesty, I thought that one day we would be getting a call from a transplant coordinator saying we found your match for you and stuff, but this was actually like ordering takeout pizza, to get a kidney. And my son, as quiet and reserved as he is, he said, well, gee, great, thank you. Can I call my mom? So at 7 o'clock in the morning, he picks up the phone and he calls me. And I thought, oh, I had a morning off. I was sleeping, I woke up from a sound sleep at 7 in the morning. And he said, and the phone rings and it's Alex's voice. And what would any mother say? What's wrong? I said, what's going on? What's wrong? Are you okay? He goes, yeah. He says, Mr. Hyde's giving me his kidney. Do you want to talk to him? And it really did happen that way. It was just amazing. So after that particular, there you go. There's pictures of the tailgate and Mr. Hyde and my son Alex and his donor. And that's the tailgate party, one of the tailgate parties we went to, and they have like the board posted what all was on the menu and all the people coming. And he had another big tailgate party, and I believe that's what this was. It was like, I think October 31st. It was Halloween in October of 2015. And he told his son and everybody to come to this tailgate party. There were over 200 people there at that tailgate party celebrating John giving Alex his kidney. And so the kidney transplant was set up for November 9th, 2015. And everybody, John came again from New Jersey, and you see there pre-op, and you see there the next day, our donor, John Hyde, the 57-year-old guy, he was only in the hospital 18 hours and left. He gave a kidney and he was out of the hospital within 18 hours. He went back and stayed in the condo where my son lived, because my son was going to be staying with us. And you're required to stay in town for like a few days to go back for your checkup. And he's only stayed in Pittsburgh for like maybe 3 days. And then after that, he was checked out and he went back to New Jersey. And at that point in time, he went back to his normal routine. He was jogging 3 miles a day, within a couple weeks time, perfectly healthy. So next slide, please. That's our story. Okay. December, the dialysis machine was wheeled out the door. And in July, he was best man for his best friend, because we moved on. His life was getting better. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so these are the tips that I wanted to share with you that I think that are really important. And a lot of times, I know we had questions like this. It's important to write everything down and to keep your sanity, to keep a log and to keep a diary of what's going on with your loved one. I have mine still to this day, and I refer back to it. At your dialysis center and the different resources that you have available, these are just some of the resources that I picked up. You need to tap your social worker. We mentioned that a little bit ago, the SHIP program. Okay. When we got out of the hospital, we had one of the other guests talk about prescription management and care. I discovered that, the dialysis center and the case manager, you're dropped from that once you get your transplant. So in waiting in line at the pharmacy every day right after transplant, it seemed things were changing so rapidly. I happened to see a sign about a specialty pharmacy service, and we were qualified for that. And they give you like a case manager for specialty pharmacy services. And they sent him his medication and checked with him every month to make sure that he was adhering, taking his medicines, and they sent him his medications, and they even renewed the prescriptions with his doctors. It was great. So I strongly suggest that you guys jot down that word there, specialty pharmacy service, and see if you have one in your local area. Or maybe your insurance company or insurance plan you have now offers specialty pharmacy, because it's a step above of just having to do it yourself. And then another resource that we had for getting back on track after transplant was the Office of Vocational Rehabilitation. And what they did is they helped train or get him back into working, and adapting back into society, because he was really limited on what he could do because he was so sick being on dialysis. In that event, what happened was he actually did go to work on a part-time basis at our insurance office. So that was a positive thing, and he picked up a lot of information from that. The next thing is use your dialysis center and your transplant center. Make sure that you're tapping the resources there. You have a dietitian, you have a social worker, you have a person to address insurance issues. These are all really important things. I think that, you know, you need to speak up and ask rather than doing it yourself. Do that, you know, do it that way. Another thing too that I wanted to mention about just quickly here about the program that I wrote, that marketing plan that I talked about. After we got our transplant, the National Kidney Foundation really took note of it, and they were really impressed by how it worked, you know. And what they did is they invited me, or they flew me to New York City, and I filmed it. And they developed a program that is still in existence today that each and every one of you have access to. If you go to the National Kidney Foundation website and look for the Big Ask, Big Give, and it teaches people how to ask and find living donors to get them to donate to you. And it's actually, that whole program is my marketing plan. And I'm really, that's one of the things that I'm most proud about, is having that program written up and being recognized, because I know myself that hundreds of people have been able to find donors as a result of following those steps on that simple marketing plan. So write that down, people. Big Ask, Big Give, National Kidney Foundation. And there is, I don't have the link for it right now. If you'd want to message me, I can find out what it is, but there is going to be an online presentation of that program at the end of this month. And I believe it's being presented by the National Kidney Foundation here in Pittsburgh, but since it's online, anybody can join in and follow the program. And there's a packet of information that they'll send you so that you can follow along as the program's going on and really draw up your own plan. I will get that information from the people that I know here in Pittsburgh. They've asked me or invited me to attend. They thought it would be kind of neat, the person that helped write the program be on the presentation, but I am going to be doing that. And the last thing on this particular page is Facebook. Use it as a reference. And the reason why I say that is, you know, not everything you see on Facebook is true, but you know what? You can use that as a tool to communicate to your doctor with questions that might come up, to find out if the facts that you've heard or the information that you're getting there is true or not. And it stimulates conversation and gives you more support. There are hundreds of groups, it seems, on there of different things for everything related to kidney. Like there's the dialysis patients, there's transplant, there's waitlist groups, there's just kidney support groups. There's all kinds of things on there. I had a list that on there about what was going on several years ago, but they've changed. There's some of them there, but if you just do a simple search on Facebook and type in kidneys and see what kind of groups come up, typically you'd have to be admitted to them. A lot of them are closed groups, you know, where they want, you know, reference people being on there, because it's not for advertising or things like that. It's just for help for people. So that's an important thing to mention about Facebook. Next page, please. Okay, another thing is lightening your load. As a caregiver, I feel like a lot of stress and burdens and stuff like that. And you have to learn how to ask, and you have to accept the fact that what's the worst thing they can say? No. You know, so you have to, you know, then if they say no, that, you know what no means? No means next opportunity. You know, maybe we could pick that out as the word for the next meeting or something that you had there. But you know means next opportunity. So you just move on to the next one if someone turns you down. And to be honest with you, when I was asking people to put information out on my son's journey, or when we needed a kidney, not one person turned me down. You know, and so that's, you know, that's an important thing we're saying. Emergency, you know, even though you may not have a kidney yet, or you're on dialysis and things like that, you really need to be prepared for an emergency and have an emergency plan. And one thing I want to throw out there is that every person has a cell phone in this world today. And on that cell phone, if it's an iPhone, it's called Medical ID under an emergency, you can put your information in there. And in Android phones, it's called ICE, in case of an emergency, ICE. What you can do, emergency responders are trained on your cell phone, even if it's locked, they can access this information in the event of an emergency. They're trained to do that. And you can have all of your information in there. For example, I have a fistula, I'm end-stage renal, my doctor is this, these are my contacts, these are my emergency contacts, and the emergency contacts come up in there. But it's an excellent thing. And I learned how to use this. I went on a TV, it's not Yahoo, it was when you type in and you want to get an idea of like how to do something and stuff, it gave me like a video, and it trains you in 5 minutes time on how to put this in. It's very simple, where to go on your phone, step-by-step process. So I would suggest that. I have on here the AAK website. That's a great resource. But you know what? In addition to that, since I was doing this presentation for the AKP, there is also websites for the National Kidney Foundation and the American Association of Kidney Patients. All three of those are organizations that support kidney patients with valid information. What I love most about the AAKP is that they're the largest patient organization in the world. They've been in business, or they've had their organization for over 50 years. And they have some tremendous resources that are either very inexpensive or free of charge to provide to kidney patients. The one thing that I really love the most about them, about their website or about their thing, is their recipe cards. They have recipe cards that are designed for kidney patients, the diet. And what it is they have them marked if you're diabetic, if you're pre-transplant, pre-dialysis, on dialysis, and post-transplant. And there's check marks on each one of the recipe cards as to what area that would apply to. If you don't see a check mark on there, that means that recipe is not suited for your particular situation. Say if you're a diabetic, you shouldn't be eating that. It doesn't comply. But they are excellent recipe cards that they have. They sell them, I think it's $5, and that includes the shipping and everything. But I would strongly recommend the AAKP website for that. In addition to that, membership to the AAKP is free. All you have to do is get on there. Kidney patients and support people for kidney patients, family members can become members of that and receive frequent communications from them. They do webinars and so forth online that you can watch with varying important tips for you. They also lobby for you too in Washington, D.C. for legislation in individual states, but more importantly, that it's all geared towards kidney patients. They really do focus. They have an annual patient meeting. That's what this presentation was for, and they do that kind of thing. The National Kidney Foundation, you heard mentioned already, they have the different communities, and I am a member of the communities, and sometimes I'll go in and I'll get an email alert that somebody's looking for a tip on this or how to work out that, and I'll answer and respond to them. They also have a help number. It's called NKF Cares. And at any time you can call them up and ask them any question that pops into your mind, anything kidney. And if they don't have an answer for you, they will respond to you. They will find the answer and call you back and get back to you. It's an excellent resource. Strongly suggest that you have it. They also have recipe cards, and they have many free brochures and literature. Ways to access that literature. You don't have to attend a health fair to get it, okay? What you can do is you can go onto their website and find out where the closest National Kidney Foundation area office is for you and contact them directly, and they can put a packet of information together and send it out to you. Okay, or you could call that NKF Cares telephone number and say, hey, I'm looking for information on this, and this. Can you mail it to me? And they will. And it doesn't cost you a dime to do it. So that's kind of important. The other organization I mentioned was the American Kidney Fund, and I am involved with them too as an ambassador. And what they can do is, a lot of people, it can be an expensive venture here with kidney disease, and they can provide support to help pay your insurance. If you don't have enough money to pay for insurance coverage or your medical, they also can help you in terms of, like, if you find a donor and that donor has to get to where you are to give you their kidney, they'll pay for travel expenses and lost wages. So up to, I believe that, I don't know what their maximum total is, but justifiable expenses, they will help you along with the other information as far as being like a peer or a coach. I learned about that tonight because I was involved with them as an ambassador. I wasn't aware of like their program on that, but I think that that's a very good idea. So you can, while you're at it, you can ask about other resources that they have if you go and contact them directly. But the organizations that have memberships to them is the AKP. You can just become a member free. National Kidney Foundation, you can sign up. They're looking for kidney advocates in different states right now. Some of them where they don't have enough advocates at. I'm part of their kidney advocacy committee. And they do advocacy to both the state, local, and federal legislators. So that's an important thing worth mentioning there as well. Next slide, please. Okay. Take a look, be inspired, and read me. A lot of people want to know how to go about doing this, and they're trying to find their way. I'm listing 3 books on here that are very, very good. The Patients Will See You Now. It's kind of a tough read. It's a college textbook or college level book, but what it does is it teaches you examples on how to talk to your doctor, how to be prepared when you go for that doctor's visit, like to take a list so you don't forget about something, and to give the doctor a copy of the list, and you keep a copy of the list, and you write down the answers to the questions, things like that. The Reluctant Donor is about a person who was really reluctant in giving her kidney to her sister. She was afraid, and she wrote about the story of that. And it's a very easy read. It's a good book. Suzanne Ruff is there. And Lost in Transportation, it was a book about not knowing where to find their way in transplant and how to find your way. This person, Aldonio Edwards, wrote that. It's very good. Next slide, please. Is that the end? We're at the end. Okay, the last thing I want to end here and tell you about is my son's kidney that he got on November 9th, 2015 has now failed him. We learned about this complete kidney failure last Thursday and told that we had to start dialysis again immediately, as soon as possible, because his function's down to 11%. His creatinine level is way over 6, and he's severely anemic. So we're having like a lot of problems. So I'm back to following Bobbie Reed's marketing plan again and trying to find him a kidney. And that's why I'm here tonight. And I hope you've benefited from the information that I shared with you. I have a lot more to offer. If you want to reach out to me and get in touch with me, please do. Thank you very much.
Bobbie, that was fabulous. We're not going to have time for questions.
I'm sorry.
For you at the moment. We will have time after we conclude, and we're trying very hard to still conclude on time at 8:30 because I know other people have time commitments, but we will keep the room open. So I would like to pass the mic to Maria, who I know has worked very hard on table topics, and we probably only have time for 3 of them.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm going to share my screen. Can you all see the spin wheel?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, let me see everyone on the screen as well. Or why don't I take verbal volunteers? Does somebody want to spin the wheel and take a question for our table topics? If you can unmute yourself and tell me your name. Let's see.
I'll
George.
take one. What's the topic?
You'll find out when you spin the wheel. You want to go ahead, Donna?
Yeah, go ahead.
Spin the wheel.
I clicked on it. How do you make
I'll
it
do
spin?
it for you here.
Okay. Six.
Question 9.
Really? Oh.
All right.
My
Question
point
9.
just shows 3, but okay. Whatever.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. Where did I see 9? It is 3. Okay, let me go to question number 3.
I don't care. I'll take any question, but
Okay, Donna, thinking along the lines of kidney health, What relationships do you want to nurture in 2023?
Well, wow. Okay, the relationships I want to nurture in 2023, in order to help my husband get a kidney, are with local newspapers, online, as well as in print. And I've got a nice piece. I've gotten it in our local newspaper. I'm trying to branch out and reach out to more and more newspapers. And many of them, because I have like a business card, will repost that business card like again and again and again. So many people do not understand the process and the voucher system or anything about that. So that's my goal.
Wonderful. And we wish you a new kidney this year through this process. Who would like to spin the wheel next? Somebody verbally want to say their name?
Sure, I'd be happy to participate, but how do I spin it?
Great. I think I have to do the spinning here.
Oh, okay.
Is that David?
Yeah. Thank you, David. Okay, question number 4, David. Thinking also along the lines of kidney health.
Sure.
What new skills do you want to learn in 2023?
This is probably not the best question. I don't have kidney disease, and my kidneys are fine. And I think my organs are pretty solid at the moment. So with that said, in terms of health, let me just say, for what I would say is I would like to learn how to better advocate for those who do need it. And I also want to, if anybody's interested, I just heard Donna, I created a tool to help people market their loved ones or themselves for a kidney. And I would be, if you just reach out to me separately, I'd be happy to talk to you about it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, David. I hope you'll come to another meeting and present on your marketing program.
Well, I did last time, and
I wasn't here.
and I had a fever, so you didn't miss much.
Oh,
So.
I'm so sorry. Well, I'm glad to see you here today. Thank you for your answer. How about one last one? Who would like to volunteer to spin the wheel? Anyone? Should I volunteer someone? Leon, are you up for spinning the wheel and answering a question? Oh, you have to unmute yourself.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
And then she's going to ask you a question.
Great.
Oh, it was 3 again. So I'm going to go to number 2 right next to it. I forgot to remove it last time. So it is on 2. I don't know why it showed 3 there for me. Okay. Leon, question number 2. What challenges do you want to face in 2023?
Challenges, I guess, this has to relate about the need for getting a kidney transplant. The challenge is, I guess, right now I'm looking at marketing myself, and I have family to help me. But we need to, I just want to get some effective strategies on how to look for and obtain a donor to provide a kidney for me.
And we hope that this challenge is faced and met with success this year. Thank you for answering the question, Leon.
Sure.
These were great questions, Maria. I'm sorry that we're out of time for table topics. I am now passing the mic back to our general evaluator, Sarah.
Good job. Nothing. See you later.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Maria, for the table topics. I'm sure you'll have another opportunity to go through all of the other questions. But now we're on to the evaluation portion of the meeting, where we're going to have the evaluators come up to evaluate. So evaluating George's speech, we have Eileen. We'll bring up Eileen to give a evaluation.
Madam General Evaluator. Tonight, George prepared a very organized and interesting speech. He seemed very comfortable and spoke very clearly. He spoke about his sincere communication style and met the objectives of the speech by providing very sincere tips for supporting kidney patients. One of the things I noticed was that he seemed like he was reading from a script, although at times he would stop reading from the script and speak some of his own words, which was very effective. One of the things I think he could work on is memorizing his introduction and maybe part of his summary at the end, and maybe even use a PowerPoint presentation to help him remember just bullet points of the body of his speech. To challenge himself, one of the things I always like to suggest to speakers is to have an opening line that really grabs the audience attention. That could be with a quote, a question, or even with a staggering statistic that really gets the audience's attention. He could have started out with something like, did you know that a certain X% of kidney patients do not get a kidney from a family member, or something like that. I'm guessing that that number would be very low. I don't know. Let's see. Just as a follow-up, I would just say one of the things I really liked about George was that he really has a very excellent and natural speaking voice, which I really enjoyed, and I think it really helped engage the audience. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Eileen. Great evaluation. Next, we have our second evaluator, which is Mark, evaluating Laxmi's speech.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. I really liked Laxmi's speech. She started out with a bang, I think. She gave a good overview of what she's going to be talking about. She kind of grabbed my attention right away. I think the future of kidney disease and why it's on the increase was very good information. She had great eye contact, use of hands, very good reason why things are that, she gave good information about to back up her initial talk. She had good flow. One thing I would recommend is not really part of the speech per se, but just for future reference, maybe more emphasis on what additional things people can do to avoid kidney disease. Some of it's heredity, some of it's just a disease you can't do much about. But from what I understand, there's quite an increase, or there's going to be an increase, maybe going on right now, even due to diabetes, blood pressure, lack of exercise and diet. And everybody that falls into those categories, that'll be one kidney for someone else that can't do anything about their kidney problem. So thank you. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Mark. Great evaluation. Our final evaluator will be Tanya, evaluating Bobbie's speech.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tanya Bailey, and I evaluated Bobbie Reed, which she did a very good job. On time management, she was 12 minutes over, and I can understand that because it was very interesting. She talked about how who she was and what she did, and she also really had a lot of emphasis about her son Alex, who needed a transplant, and he did receive one that failed, and he ended up getting another one. So, and she talked about what he did, like playing baseball. So that was a good thing. She also gave a lot of insight about those of us who are waiting for transplants, on the things that we could do, and how we could go about writing things down and getting ourselves out there to get people out there so that we could get things out there that we need so people can help us. But other than that, her speech was really good. And I'm not sure if was a word of not saying, but she said quite a few times. I stopped counting. So it was right many times. But other than that, she did a good speech. Very interesting, good eye contact, organized. And to me, it helped me out a lot. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Tanya, for that great evaluation. So next out, now we're going to go to our timer. Donna, if you can go over our timing and how we did.
Okay, so for the table topics, that's not right. Yeah, it is. David came in at 1 minute. Leon was 0.5. And I was at 1.5 minutes. We were all under 2 minutes, so we did good. For George's speech, the range was 5 to 7 minutes. He came in at 5 minutes and 50 seconds. That was great. And the speech was great. Laxmi, 5 to 7 minutes, came in at 7:45, which, but I don't know, I didn't feel like it ran very long. So had me to the end. And Bobbie Reed, again, I'm not sure what time contract we made with you. So I don't know if you know there was a 20-minute limit, but hers came in at 32:33. So that's it, I think, right?
Yes, thank you. Great job with timing. I know timing is everything, especially in a meeting. We want to make sure we end on time. But also, if you ever been into a board meeting or in a meeting, they do actually cut you off. I actually would listen to a board meeting and they shut the timer off and they took off the mic. So think about if you're ever going to be advocating maybe in a government office, they give you 2 minutes and you're done. So, or if you're going to be fighting for anything on a board, I've sat on many boards and they do cut you off. So Toastmasters gives us great practice for that. So I was the act counter. I did not do a great job at that because I was so engrossed in the topics tonight. We had 3 amazing speakers. I did hear some ums and ahs. I'm not going to count as many, but I think I've done many ums and ahs in my speeches too. But I think all the speeches were amazing. We had great, very different educational speeches. I've learned a lot. I didn't realize there was so much information out there. Now I want to even learn more. I want to hear more. It actually got me, maybe these can be part 2. These speeches you could do again a part 2, maybe in another month or 2, because I think there's a lot of information. George, you did a great job explaining your role as a caregiver. I loved it. Laxmi, great job. Congratulations on your journey to be a coach. I didn't know that you were doing that, and now I'm learning. I want to learn more about that. It's awesome. Thank you. And of course, Bobbie, your speech was really packed with a lot of good information, and it left me wanting more. I know you went over, but I thought it was amazing, the information that we all could use. And as an advocate, I'm not in any shape or form I cannot donate, but I can share the message. I'm not in the kidney patient, but I can share the message. And you left me with I want to share more. I want to share the message. All these 3 speeches were really great about advocacy. What can we do more to share other stories? What can we do more? If we can't donate because we're health wise, we could share the message of someone else. We could pass on the knowledge. So that left me in such really a great feeling. We had a great meeting. Everyone participated in some way. Thank you for being here. Table topics was great. I know we only could do a couple, but again, we can do more of that at the next meeting. Lisa, great job as Toastmasters, keeping us on track. Everyone did a great job, again, being here, just being supportive. We're all here for, a lot of the same things. We want to learn more about how we can advocate for ourselves, others, and share the message. So I really enjoyed this meeting, and I want to kind of end on time. So I'm going to pass this back to our president, Lisa, who will close out the meeting.
I forgot that I did that. It was so nice seeing everyone tonight, and I really appreciate all of our guests and our speakers. And this is the way a meeting should be. We're looking forward to a fabulous lineup of speakers. So we're going to have Matt Kavanaugh on the 5th of February, and we're very, very excited to have the new president of NKDO come as our featured guest that night. He will probably talk most of the meeting, and in spite of the fact that we also have 3 other speakers. This is contest season, and Laxmi and Maria are level 2. Yay! They will be representing kidney stories in our area contest. So it's very important that they do their contest speeches for us on the 5th of February, and that we give them some feedback so that they can be as ready as possible to win at the district level. There are 2 different kinds of speeches. One is tall tales and one is international. And Laxmi, you're doing
The international.
You're doing international, and
Is
Maria's
doing
doing
tall
tall tales. So we're very, very excited to have you doing this for us. And then there's, as I say, there's a lineup. I don't remember what it is, but we have speakers lined up, fabulous speakers lined up from tonight when we had Bobbie, and we're so glad we did, through till May. And after Mark's ride, Mark will be giving us a wrap up on 4.5. We can't wait. So Mark's going to be grabbing a time slot probably for sometime in May. And because we don't have any time between now and then. So please stay tuned. We are a membership group. In spite of being a membership group and really needing 20 members by April 1st, we will have room for guests from now until forever. Guests are always welcome to do speeches. They're always welcome to take roles. They're always welcome to come as long as they choose. And as Sarah often reminds me, I was a guest for 3 years until Sarah sponsored me for my first 6 months, and then I took off with my new wings and started flying. So thank you all so much. We're going to keep the room open. You can stay as long as you want. I know you all have a lot of questions for our speakers and more information to share, but we are officially adjourned. So thank you all for being here.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Hey, if anybody wants to see the tool I have, I'd be happy to show you guys. But